Hello, ladies and gentlemen, fellow traders. What are we going to do today? Welcome to that live show. If you're insane enough to be trading, and come along with me on this journey, and let's have a little bit of fun. Today, we're going to look at one or two things. We're going to have the live draw today, so we're going to have another winner. This was last week's winner, which is the two-step 10K challenge. Then we're going to answer a question. We're going to answer a question about whatever. We're going to answer a question. We'll have a look at that. Then we're going to have a look at some lines. We're going to have a look at some squiggly lines, and then we'll have a bit of fun together and we'll chat about the markets. But what I am going to talk about today a lot is trend lines and the confluence between trend lines and everything else that you trade. Don't forget, guys, most traders lose money. If you're unsure, you probably shouldn't be trading. I will remove the risk disclaimer out of the way because there was one time that I forgot to do that and you guys were all screaming at me on the comments, and yeah. We won't forget that moment now, will we? Markets have been interesting, haven't they? Let's see what they've been doing. This gold one needs to move along. Why do they always move to the right? It's kind of crazy, isn't it? US 500. Okay, so we're long on the US 500, but if I look at this, there's tiny little candles and tiny little tails. There's not really much happening there, is there? It's like they're waiting for something, and it looks like they're waiting for jobs figures this week. Yeah, jobs figures every single week. You're going to play your hand into jobs figures every single week. It defeats the object at the end of the day. So, yeah, okay, so they might wait for something out of that, and it's going to come out sort of even, and nobody's still going to know which way to go, are they? The way I look at it, it's in the upward trend, it's in the bullish trend, it's above the trend support, and I'm hoping that it will go in our general direction. Let's see who's here today. Hi, Elaine. Oh, yes, Elaine, you did mention something about, yeah, oh, yes, you left a couple of good comments. That's fantastic. Yeah, thanks for the comments, Elaine. Really good. And I always appreciate that. It's fun to read them, fun to see them. And you actually said you found yourself in that cycle of doom changing strategies. That's why I don't have too many systems on the go. Or changing systems, not strategies, more systems. But that's why I keep my systems almost blank. But we're going to talk about these trend lines today. So yeah, that's one system that goes with price action. It's simple price action. It's easy. The system itself is actually not what's holding you up. At the end of the day, what's holding you up is the strategy. Because the systems, they all work. Every single one of them work. But some of them are just too complicated and too overcomplicated. So it's best just to keep it simple, because it's not going to make much difference as long as you follow the strategy. So yeah, that's where the big issue comes in. Look at gold, how it's bouncing, breaking through this trend resistance. But this is one of my points of contention that we're going to talk about today, is how it breaks through these lines, and then you immediately start trading into this. But look, there's already a tail developing on it. You really got to wait for the candle to close before you actually trade. You ought to make sure that it's closed above that line. In most cases, a lot of guys will watch for the break and retest. I'm going to do a proper video on the break and retest, but I'll show you that today as well. And that is when it closes, it breaks out, goes up a bit, and then it comes back, retests that level, and then continues on up. That's actually your best entry at the end of the day. But what I found from my personal experience with break and retest is it doesn't always retest, and I find myself missing out on a lot of trades. So I'm more of a get in there and get the trade sort of guy. So I'd rather wait. Once the candle's closed, I'd rather get in and give it a go. And then if it goes against me, it's one of those losing trades, because the amount of trades that you lose waiting for the retest is rather insane. And for example, if you wanted to go short here and then you waited for the retest here, well, that didn't work out too well, did it? It's broken to the upside. That's going to happen quite often. There's a famous word in the markets. People call them fake outs. Yeah, it's just another bit of terminology that's not really going to help you much. All you got to know is that if it does break through a level, then either wait for the retest or wait for the candle to close, and then just go for it. PSLA should be getting FOMO shortly. Great American. Fear of missing it. All right, Tesla. Okay. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see what happens with that. There's a lot going on in the US for that. There was a story the other day about Google, and they have to sell their Chrome part of their business or something to that effect, and that could hit them quite hard. Somebody was talking about 20-25% the other day if they have to sell that part of their business. But in all hindsight, we talk like this, but if they do sell that part of their business, fundamentally, I think about it and I think, well, if they sell that part of the business, aren't they getting a cash injection for that part of the business, which is going to go into the business? Yes, it might affect the overall asset value of the company, but it'll be replaced by cash. So there'll be a cash holding in the company which will, in all likelihood, do something with. The difficulty of obviously being, they don't want to pay too much tax on the profits and all the rest of it. So, but yeah, people talk about the company going into disaster because they have to sell off a part of the company because the government requires them to do so. But that part of the company is going to be replaced by a cash value. So why would the company lose that kind of value so vastly? There will be a sell-off. There will be some fear, people running away and that sort of thing if that kind of legislation passes that they're monopolizing and they have to sell part of it. But like I say, by the same token, what a lot of these companies end up doing at the end of the day is they end up doing a sort of share split, buyout, split the company into a million pieces type of thing. And the shareholders get parts of the other companies anyway. And you don't lose. You don't lose. They normally look after you. So it's not a bad investment. It's just bad media for someone like Google or whatever the case. So I wouldn't be too concerned about things like that. I'm a little bit concerned about the stuff that's going on around Tesla and the stories and what have you, and how Elon Musk is now getting upset with Donald Trump. I don't know if that's all true. So many stories, and I don't play much into them. Like I say, I used to hang my hat on the news, but these days I don't trust it as much as I used to. Don't believe it as much as I used to. I also did take a Euro Great British Pound short. Was it yesterday? It must have been yesterday, not the day before. And that is in our favor at the moment on this particular platform, but it was much better off earlier. It's coming back at us again. I'm looking for a bit of a better fall here. It's supposed to go all the way down, so you've got to be patient, and you got to remember that these are position trades and these are 4-hour charts, so that they do take a heck of a lot longer to play out than, say, for example, a 5-minute chart or a 1-hour chart. But when you take a trade on a 4-hour or a 5-minute, the only difference is the reliability of the information is much better on the 4-hour or the day or whatever than the 5-minute. And the information that you get off a 5-minute bunch of candles is very minimal. It fits into these candles. But if you're taking it on a 4-hour, it just feels like it's never going to work out and you get impatient. The reason you don't win on the 4-hour charts and you might feel like you're winning on the 5-minute charts is because you're just you're just not patient enough on the higher time frames. You tend to try and overtrade. So you've got to learn to leave your 4-hour trades. You've got to learn to be patient. Just think of it, when you take a 4-hour trade, think of it like a 5-minute trade. If you've tried 5-minute trading, think of it exactly the same way. It's going to do exactly the same thing. It's going to have exactly the same patterns. It's just going to do it over a longer period of time. So you just got to learn to be a heck of a lot more patient. What I always say is, if you were in a 5-minute trade and you were this much in profit on a 5-minute trade and you only moved that distance, would you actually be out of the trade? No, you'd probably be holding on and waiting for it to get down to here because, that's what you do. But it happens quickly. And then when you're trading on the longer time frames, it doesn't happen quickly. So you kind of try and rush the trade. FOMO steps in and you start, becoming impatient. Good afternoon, David. Good to see you again. Welcome. Good to have you on board. Thursday afternoons have now become a lot quieter than Tuesdays. I'm wondering if the timing is right or whatever, but it's okay. We keep it going. We'll see how we go this afternoon. And the way I look at it is the Thursday does sort of take us into the American market opening and that sort of thing. So There's nothing wrong with it. It's not the worst thing to do. But the Tuesday is more for the African side, European side, and I know the Australian guys do come in late. It's a different time zone, but yeah, it's been working quite well at 11 o'clock GMT plus 2. This one at 2 o'clock GMT plus 2 might be a little bit different, but it works at the end of the day. It still works out. But like I say, I want to go through the trend lines and the confluences of trend lines and how they play out and how they work out for us. Oh, by the way, this Euro Great British Pound trade, I've already moved the stop loss up to cost so that we don't lose anything if it goes pear-shaped. It was quite well in profit down here, and I moved it into cost. So that one is already in cost. But we'll go over that in a moment. We'll just go and have a look at the news quickly. Let's see what's going on in the news, and then we'll get back to this, and then I'll show you guys how the trend lines work. We'll answer a question, and on top of which we'll have the draw today. That draw, the big draw. Where am I? What am I doing? I actually need to go and look at the news, don't I? And obviously my face is in the way. Let me take that out of the way as well. Let's not leave my head in the way of the bottom chart, which is only the Germany 30. It's not a big deal there. Let me find the capture. Let me see if I can find the news. And then we can just pop over there, quickly go and have a look at that. Where is the news? There we go, here's the news. Bonds are boring, but they're critical focus right now. Everybody's waiting for the jobs figures today. I'm pretty sure of that. Today is Thursday. It's probably non-farm payrolls. Trump bans citizens of 12 countries traveling to the US. That's actually quite interesting that Trump bans citizens of 12 countries from traveling to the US when he kind of has a thing for South African guys going there as refugees. It's kind of weird. Procter and Gamble slashing jobs. Tesla, why Musk may change his tune on EV tax credits. China and US are having a few issues at the moment, difficult to deal with, I believe. 401k savings rate hit. German factory orders rose. Yeah, the news is interesting. US faces vape shortage as China tariff seizures hit the gig bar. Wall Street futures edge up as investors wait key jobs data. There it is. JP Morgan Chase sees growth in Asia Pacific private credit market. Big investors shift away from US market. Nothing's changed. It's always the same. It's always the same stuff. Nothing really changes. But yeah, people have these ideas about everything, and economists get all excited and they start jumping around and what have you. So today, the draw will be Fundual FX was kind enough to supply the two-step 10K challenge account. So somebody's going to win that. If you want your own account, there is a link in the description. We're going to use a YouTube random comment picker to pick a comment from this video. And that is the one thing traders need to grasp to succeed, that video. So if you've left a comment on that video, it'll be entered here on the random comment picker, and you'll be part of the whole draw today. But in the meantime, let's go back and let's go and discuss what we need to discuss today with regards to everything else that we are doing. So the question we had, let's do the question first. Hi, Rob. What do you do when you're at the market open time and there's no established support resistance for the day yet? Would you go by support and resistance of the previous day? Now, my short answer to that is only trade if a trade is available. Don't force a trade. If there's no support and resistance, then no trade. Wait for an opportunity. Now, while I say that, would you go by support and resistance of the previous day? It just depends where it is. So let's go and have a look. Let's go and see. And let's see what we got. Because you see, what happens is, where's a good example? Euro Great British Pound is maybe a reasonably good example. You draw your level in probably on a Monday or a Sunday on the day chart. You've picked a level and you've got your major sort of support level in, you've got your resistance level in. Those are your main levels. Now, to give you a wider answer on that, my feeling on that is that, yes, I am going to use yesterday's resistance level or support level based on the fact that those are major levels. That level is there on a more permanent basis for the whole week, maybe, as I've picked it off the higher time frame. And I'm saying that level is there specifically for me to be guided as to where the market is on any particular product. So not necessarily this one, but this one tells me it's in that range, and I know where it is. It could just be a trend down. It could be anything. But what I'm looking at is those are my major levels, and I am going to use those levels from the previous day. That doesn't mean I'm going to trade it if it's in the middle of a level. So if I find something that's lying around in the middle of a level, I'm not gonna jump into it. And is there anything here offhand? Not exactly, but if I look at the US dollar, Japanese yen, here's an example of that. Would I use yesterday's level? You see, you've got to take a lot of things into account. While I say keep it simple, you do still have to keep things in mind. And that is, I'm looking at this. This is the US dollar, Japanese yen. What I see here on the US dollar, Japanese yen is there is an opportunity for a quick bullish run, a quick buy, because it's bouncing off the support, and it's hit the support a number of times, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's been bouncing off this level. So there is an opportunity for you here to get a long trade. But then you've got to keep an eye on the picture. There's a shoulder, there's a head, there's a shoulder. That's a giant head and shoulders. And then there's a smaller head and shoulders right here as well. So there's a lot of head and shoulders developing. And that normally depicts that it's probably going to resolve to the downside somewhere down the line if it breaks below that neckline. So now you're kind of in a quandary. Should I use yesterday's support or shouldn't I? So what I'll start looking at here is, okay, I'll use it and I'll look at it with caution. In other words, if it drops below that neckline, we're in trouble. We need to get out, put the stop loss close to that neckline, or effectively look at, is there a trend that it's breaking through to the upside, which could give us some confluence, or wait for it to break above the high, the last high, that neckline there, or maybe it'll take that money and come back down because there's also a supply of money there. So it starts getting complicated when you start adding in things like supply and demand and necklines and all that sort of stuff. So you do have to be careful of that. So with that question, yes, you can use yesterday's support or yesterday's resistance if it's taken from the higher time frame and you've got a specific area and you can see it. But if the trade is in the middle, leave it alone. If it's already run, leave it alone, unless you've got something else that's telling you that it's a great buy or something that you can go with, something you can buy with. Because that's why I want to show you that trend lines are very useful in confluence with everything else. How's it, Shane? Hi, Tim. Good to have you. Good to see you again. You guys are slowly coming onto the show, which is great news. And if you watch the beginning, you'll see what we'll be doing today. What we've been talking about. I was just answering the question now, and the question's sorted. And we will do the draw today, and we're going to have some fun as usual. So I just want to say, confluence with trend lines is really important, and this is something that people miss a lot. Now, when I started trading, this was all I used was that line, that line. There was nothing else. We didn't have computers, so I would have a chart, and I'd have a ruler and a pencil, and I would draw that line in, and I would draw that line in, and that would be my basis of where the market was going. Sometimes I would draw a line through the middle, what's above and what's below, sort of. That was my average on any trend. So effectively, you couldn't really trade as well as you can trade now, or as easy, but it still gave you a good idea of where the market was going, because no matter how you trade, whether you got a computer or not, the market is still 50-50. But why I say confluence is now you have this trend support and you have this trend resistance and you have this level of demand of money. That price could come down and start taking that money, and it's in that structure, so it's in a bearish trend. It could come down and start taking that money, and the confluence could start showing up in these areas. If it breaks through to the downside, it's going short again, then it's going into that. It's going to take that money and maybe go back up again. With support and resistance, it's actually more clear. I could only find something that will give you a better example than support and resistance. But yeah, with trends, here's actually a good one. Actually, this one, we're already in this trade, but you know, if you take that trend over there, I know it's only touching 2 or 3 points, but it's not the greatest one. But look at that. It's come up, it's come into this level of resistance. It's hit the trend resistance and the normal resistance, bounced off it, headed down, gone back up to retest. Hasn't quite reached it, but almost went up to retest, bounced off, coming down, heading to the downside. And that kind of trend resistance is giving you a bit of confluence as to, yeah, it is actually going down. If it breaks through to the upside, then you get the break and retest. I'm going to do a video about break and retest, but break and retest is actually pretty simple. It breaks to the downside, comes back, retests, and then breaks to the downside, generally. But I often don't wait for the retest, because the retests just don't happen. They just take, they take so long to happen. And then when they do happen, they don't work out. So I find myself just taking trades because they're available. And if there's a red candle going out, I'll take it. For example, if this broke through here with a red candle and it closed, I would take the trade and follow it down, and I would have made that money. Had I waited for the retest, I would have only traded now, which I have only traded now, but that's beside the point. I didn't do it because of that. And yeah, you only trade now, and then you wait for that retest again, and so on. And it's actually, most cases I find it's actually better just to take the trade. But then you got to accept the fact that you are going to take some losses out of that. Okay, so here we go. Right. Obviously, evening there by Shane. I don't know if Kevin's coming on board. I'm going to get a few others as well. So that question with regards to will I use yesterday's support and resistance if there isn't a support and resistance today is, yeah, obviously I will. Yeah, why not? And the confluence of trend lines, it's very important to understand the confluence of trend lines. So while we use support and resistance a lot, mostly, then with support and resistance, you throw in some trend lines, and it makes all the difference to your trading. And if you understand just a little bit about supply and demand, it helps you in amongst all that mess as well. And you don't have to draw a whole lot of lines in, a whole lot of systems or anything like that. You just keep it simple. Because as you know, our sole job in the market is to search for liquidity. And if you found the liquidity, then we trade 3 ways. And that is, we trade with the trend, we counter trade the trend, and we trade in a range. And that's it. And the market can only go 2 ways. It can only go up or down. The market, generally, it looks like it's going sideways, but it's not. It's going up or it's going down. That's what happens, because people are either buying or they're selling. There's no way in the market that everyone's going to be holding. You will get times where, like this US 500, where these candles are extremely small. It's just less liquidity. There's not a lot happening. People are holding on and waiting to see what's going to happen. That you'll get. That you can't stop. Doesn't mean the market's going sideways. It's either going up or down on one or other time frame. It's either going up or down in a vast way, or it's going up and down slowly, fast, whatever. Just depends on what's happening on any given day. Interesting how people talk about a sideways market. In that sideways market, that's a ranging market. A ranging market can actually make you more money trading than a trending market if you catch it right, up and down. So yeah, I mean, it goes up and it goes down in that range. If you catch the range, whichever time frame that range is actually working on. So, the secret is to look for what it's doing and try and figure it out. Just by a quick glance, you can normally see which way it's going. Look at the tails on the candles as well and see what's going on there. It does help you in your trading if you keep an eye on the tails. I mean, if we go here to the S&P 500, what these tails are telling me on these small little candles is undecided, 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 undecided. While other people will be calling them all kinds of strange things like spinning tops and market change, all that. What I see is undecided. There's such a small body and a tail either side. None of these people know what they're doing. And I've got a feeling in the market at the moment, fundamentally, and when you look at fundamental situations, is the market at the moment is confused. I know a lot of really successful traders that are struggling this year based on the fact that there's no decision made on any particular direction that the world wants to go in. So today, they'll talk about, let's say, tariffs or whatever, and everything will be, yeah, we're going to impose tariffs, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And 15 minutes later, they've changed their mind and they've moved the goalposts. So in other words, they keep moving the goalposts a lot this year. So nobody's really or can really analyze it and say, well, do you know what? If I analyze this is where I think the world's going to go. It's kind of more of a situation of we're not sure. We're just not sure. Nobody's really sure. Now, while you need some volatility in the markets, we all need some volatility in the markets, you've got to be perfectly fair and say, but how can you call it? How can you possibly call which way the market's going to go when they keep changing their minds every 15 minutes? But that's why I think you're getting these little candles like this. There will be some rush and a bit of a longer candle now when the jobs figures come out because, economists get excited about small things. And then it'll just settle back to where it was because job figures are not going to move this market at the way it is at the moment because they're all coming out as expected. CPI rates are coming out as expected. Interest rate changes are coming out as expected. Nothing's really exciting on that front. So on the economic front, everything is as is. What's moving markets around is what people are saying, the idea of what people are saying in the markets, like the world's going to end or whatever the case. And then the next day, no, it's not going to end. This is another thing to look out for on these trends or on the support and resistances, breakouts like this. You get this green candle that's broken through this trend resistance, clean breakthrough. You can already see that the sellers are coming back in. You can see the tail there. You want to watch out for that. But this candle's still open. So what I refer to that is that's still an open trade. It's an open-ended trade. That candle at the end of its time period could still end red, depending on who stands up and says something silly. So you don't know where that candle's going to end. So you need that candle to close outside of that trend resistance. But not only do you need that candle to close outside of that resistance, the perfect scenario is for it to build another candle next to it that's also green, that also closes, because then you've got an idea that it's going to be bullish because it's breaking above this trend resistance. And if it goes too far, you can wait for it to come back and retest, get a better entry, and then go up with it if you get a good retest on that. But don't take the trade if the candle's halfway broken through if you can help it, because that's just FOMO. We all do it. Everybody does it. You see the green candle, you see it bouncing up, and you think, wow, that looks like a marvelous trade. Let me just turn the sound off on my phone. That looks like a marvelous trade. Looks like it'll about go straight up. And then you preempt the trade. You get in a little bit too early here, based on the fact that there's a nice big long green candle. But effectively it hasn't closed above the levels. It hasn't sealed the deal, let's say. And it can leave you in a bit of trouble. You know, like I heard a lot of people saying they're struggling now to do anything with a 4-hour time frame. And like I said to you, guys, just look at it as if it was a 5-minute chart. But just remember, you've got to wait a lot longer than 5 minutes for it. You can't trade for half an hour and see what happens. Did I have the US dollar JPY on here? I think I did. Somewhere. Yeah, there it is. US dollar JPY. You see it? Now, Canada imports down in April. Okay, well, that's just news. If I look at the US dollar Japanese yen, now, Tim says, earlier you spoke about the US dollar Jap. Would you say GDP JPY is the same in the way in the middle of the zone stay up? You see, on this one, it's not in the middle of the zone. And what I am seeing is that it's sitting on a giant head and shoulders, which could quite seriously play out to the downside. And if that does play out to the downside, you're going to get quite a big short on it. I'm going to have a look at your other one just now. I just want to see that is going against us now. Okay. Just checking what's going down. So you say Great British Pound JPY. Great British Pound JPY. You see what you've got here. What I've done with Great British Pound JPY, and this is why I say you've got to look for confluence. So now you've got your main level, your main resistance, your main support. So that you leave in place. And that goes in hand with the question that we had. If there isn't a support and resistance today, will you go with yesterday's? Yeah, but what I do is I just keep it in mind. There's a support in mind, there's a resistance in mind. So now I know where I am with this. I can clearly see that this is in a bullish trend. So it's in a bullish trend, and that hasn't broken. What I've also got inside the 4-hour is a very clear double top, which is a resistance here, and a very clear support in the short term. So there's a support level here. So it's trading in that little range here. So in other words, if I look at this, it's sitting in this range. It's just sitting here in this range. So it's a smaller range than the bigger range. So you can trade within that range if you're in the middle. But keep your trend lines in mind, because this is in, look at this, a clear upward sort of trajectory. It's bullish. It's sort of filtering along to the upside. And if it's filtering along to the upside, it's probably going to keep on doing that. But what it's trying to do, it's trying to bounce off this bottom support, and it's trying to reach that top resistance. And it's just taking a stretched out long time to get there. Look at the bigger picture. Look at the whole picture. Don't just look at the little bit of the picture. Look at the bigger the picture. Now you know what it's doing. Now you can stretch it out and say, well, I'm in the middle of the trade. What should I do? What I would do, I'd look at maybe if it hits this trend support here, maybe a long trade up, or if it breaks through that down to that support there, maybe a long trade up. I got a feeling it'll bounce off this trend support, and it'll probably continue on up because it's trying hard to reach the top here. What stopped it is this little double top in between, which might cause it to hit that again and then probably head on down. So that's probably its limitation right now. It's probably created a new strong resistance in this area, and it's probably not going to reach the main one further up. But now you know what it's doing, and that's as simple as it gets. So if something's in the middle, you can work around it. You can't start working on it. But what I would do is, like I always do, is look at everything. Don't just look at the one product. You know, there's lots of things to trade. And the reason I've got this one alive on here is because you could either have taken a quick long trade up to here, or like I said this morning on the trade of the day on the members videos, is guys, keep an eye on this because it can go both ways. So You see, the thing is, if you just look at my trade of the day information that I'm looking at, so I would have put this down on my system as a possible buy because it's bouncing off the support. But when you go into context, and I would have spoken about it in the members area this morning as well on the video, the context of it is it can go short as well. So what I'm waiting for here is either a long trade or a short trade. A long trade would be if it breaks through to the upside on that level or on a trend level, then I'm kind of looking, okay, it's going to break through, it's going to break above that shoulder, and it's going to go. But if it comes down below this neckline, massive short that you cannot miss out on. If it goes below this neckline, it's a huge short because you've got a giant head and shoulders developed here. You've also got a small head and shoulders developed here. That's why I'm waiting for that neckline or that high to get broken, or for the some kind of clear information that it is going to go to the upside. Otherwise, I'm looking for a short trade below that line. That's why I've still got this one sitting up here. Let me see my Euro, Great British Pound. Okay, it's not dead yet, and the US is still tiny, and Brent crude oil is doing nothing other than sitting around. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you guys. All right, let me get back to Greg, another Aussie Shane from Sydney. Yes, those dropping to the neckline. Okay, yeah, it sure looks like it is going to. You know, when I see a big head and shoulders like that, and a lot of people say I'm crazy about head and shoulders, I love head and shoulders. Head and shoulders for me is one of my favorite all-time patterns because it generally, when it plays out, wow, it makes you some nice money, and it just it stands, and it comes so often, it stands out. You know, I mean, besides the flag patterns and pennants and all those nice little things, that is a fantastic pattern. I love the head and shoulders pattern. You'll see me talk about it a lot. Shane, Rob's house, C-Trader, mine tells me they have some servers down. Oh, well, it's working on this side. This is C-Trader I'm using. If the servers were down, I'd be using one of the other ones. So, no, this is working fine. Maybe it's just down in Australia or something. I believe it's cold up there. It's cold. It's cold here where I am. It's Cape Town. We're getting a cold front this weekend. It's winter though. I told you, we don't have autumn or spring or anything like that. We just go winter, summer, winter. That's it. Yeah, it's crazy. So normally this time of the year, what happens? This is kind of like the major part is in town, what we call Sea Point. That normally starts foaming at the mouth. The sea comes in and it covers the road, and there's foam everywhere, and wind, and it starts going a bit nuts at the time of the year. I heard they're expecting snow and sort. Yeah, out west maybe. Tim, okay, have a great day. Off to work. What do you do, Tim? By the way, I know your name on the system here says Nkosi, but I know your name's Shepo because you have spoken to me as Shepo. I'm sure that's true. Bruman, how cold? Yeah, Andrew, you with IC Market. Shane. Hey, everyone's having a wee chat, which is good. It's always good to see everyone having a nice little chat together here. And what's going on where? Yeah. So, yeah, like I say, I love this head and shoulders pattern. I love them. We'll talk about the trend lines again. So we'll have the draw in about 20 minutes. If anyone's interested in the draw, if anyone's left their comment, don't forget today's comment needs to be on the video. The one thing traders need to grasp to succeed. The one thing traders need to grasp to succeed, that's the one your comment needs to be on. If your comment's on that video, you stand a chance of getting the giveaway, which is kindly supplied by FunderFX. So, and they are also, these days, the guys offer instant accounts. So if you interested in that, you can get them. I've left the link in the description for that as well. I know not everybody's big on funded accounts, and I never used to be either, but they're a handy tool for people to get into the market. It's quite useful for you guys, and a more realistic price point for you to get into the markets and that sort of thing. Trying you trade with just about everyone, man. Black Bull, Fivers, IG. No, this is Brent. This is Brent crude. Gold. There's gold. That's your gold. Gold is this one here, where it's breaking to the upside, but the candle hasn't closed yet. You could probably go down a time frame and have a look at that if you wanted to trade on the 1 hour. But then you could sort of on the 1 hour, you could wait for the retest and maybe get it off that. But it does look like it wants to go long. I don't want to preempt the trade on the 4 hour, but it does look like on the 1 hour that it wants to go. So you know, it's kind of giving you a hint, let's say, a bit of a hint. I see Marcus just did a massive update, and I had to reinstall CTrader. That could have affected the platform. Who knows? Who knows? It does appear to be working here, though. This did update a couple of days ago again, but it updates quite frequently, I must say. On the other accounts, trading view is quite prominent, and a lot of them are using like these DX trades and that sort of thing. But it's up to you if you want to. If you're running a funded account, they don't all offer CTrader. I do like CTrader. I must say I'm very, very impressed with CTrader. This New Zealand dollar, US dollar really is going nice and bullish, eh? Heading to the upside, doing its thing. You've got to spread the love. Yeah, totally. Totally. Let's see. US 500 still. I'll tell you what, this is going to drive me insane. I wonder what it looks like on the lower time frames. As candles, you see these tails are quite long on the lower time frames. This is the 1 hour. I look at the 1 hour, that's quite a flag that's developed there. Will it go to the upside? So undecided. I mean, wow, it's these candles are terribly undecided. They really are waiting for something to happen. Begging for something to happen. But at least Brent's going up for a change. That's decent. Where's my Euro Great British Pound? Why does it keep moving to the right? This thing needs to go red. It needs to go out of the way, go down. Oh, that'll make everyone happy. Okay, Aussie dollar, US dollar, New Zealand dollar. Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar. So Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar is in a nice trend to the downside. Nice big red candle growing down there. I took a trade on this yesterday on one of the other platforms, quick one in and out. Closed it last night because trouble is both of these countries are in my sleep zone, so it doesn't help me at the end of the day when you guys have some kind of news event while I'm napping. Wake up in the morning and there's one of these long candles. So I normally close them out when I do that. So yesterday on one of my cash platforms, I took a quick short, and it worked out. It actually worked out quite nicely, and yeah, it looks pretty good today as well. It looks like another good trade. So I think it'll come down probably to these levels down here. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. But I don't like trading as Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, because like I say, it is pretty much in my sleep zone. So it's out of my time, which makes it difficult for me because I can't really follow it. You know, there was a time in my career many, many years ago where I would actually wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to check my trades. It's insane. But then I was doing exactly what I tell you guys not to do, and that was over trading, putting too much risk on trades. That was, when you do that, it really affects your psychology. Must have been 15, 20 years ago. I don't know. It was a long time ago when I used to do that. I would trade far too big. And then I would find myself, if I traded something like an Aussie dollar or something like that, I would be 2 o'clock in the morning. I'd be up and I'd be checking, what's the price like, what's going on. And then they'd be having some insane news thing going on and these things would be going mad. No, don't do it, guys. Don't do it. If I can give you any advice, don't do it. Just stay within your means, position trade. And just nowadays, if I take a trade like that, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, and I happen to not be watching it and I'm asleep, I'm not worried about it because it's not big enough to hurt me in any way whatsoever. That's what you've got to be careful of. That's what you've got to be careful of. London and New York are in my sleep zones. Chipo, I hope you commented on that video. The one thing traders need to grasp to succeed, because that's the one we're going to draw on today. Okay, so if you're in the draw, you're in the draw, dude. I'm holding thumbs for you, just like everyone else. You can get the part of the giveaway. It's great. Okay. London and New York are in your sleep zone. Yeah, London and New York work well for me. Well, London works well for me. New York kind of filters into my late night zone. It filters into my football watching time, late night. It gets pretty close to the midnight and whatnot. No, says, good evening, Rob from India. I'm in a buy US dollar JPY by entry 142.5, stop loss 142. Okay, so you're in a buy at 142.5, which is pretty good. You got in. I don't know how you got in there, but you did. I mean, shit. I don't know how you chose the trade, but okay, you chose the trade right at the bottom of the head and shoulders, but that's great. You're in at a good level, and it's worked out well for you. It's gone up to 143.5. It's coming back a little bit. Like I said to you, this one, when I call trades 50-50, this is probably one of the most 50-50 trades of all time. But like I said to you, my favorite pattern is on here, this giant head and shoulders. And if it breaks below that neckline, you're talking heavy short. So just watch yourself. But this morning I did call that this could go long up to here. And it could also break through levels and keep going up, which would send it to this level up here, because it has hit the support a number of times. My concern for this is if it breaks below that neckline, and that's why I'm kind of torn between two worlds on the US dollar, Japanese yen, as to which way it's going to go. When I see patterns like that, there was a time when the world was having tough times, or the markets were having tough times, and they'd hit a point where it looked like they were going to fall over a bit. Every single instrument that I looked at, just about, at least 80% of them, were producing a head and shoulders. It was shares, it was indexes, it was some Forex pairs, upside down head and shoulders on some, and other way around on others, and they were all over the place. It was like I was being haunted by the things, which is probably why I love them so much. And guess what? The markets went crashing down. And I looked at that and I thought, it's just so insane how you can actually see it so clearly. These things do play out. They do work out. Even though I say all the systems work, and it's not the systems that make you money, it's the strategy. These patterns, they do play out. They often play out, and then you're shocked when they do. Okay. Now, I don't want to say to you must hold it or not hold it. Do keep in mind that I'm not here as an advisor. I'm not here to give you advice. I'm here. Look, you're making money at the moment, by the way. I'm here to show you what my experience and what I've done, I don't have a predictive capability. And just remember, nothing that I say here constitutes financial advice. I can sort of help you along the road, but when it comes to a decision, should I hold or should I sell, you're gonna have to make that decision yourself, unfortunately. I mean, you're in a great trade. It's working in your favor. And while it's working in your favor, that's great. So what I would normally do is maybe if you're making good profit, move the stop loss up to cost, or maybe follow it up with the stop loss behind it. If you're happy with the profit that you've got, put your stop loss up there behind it, and if it comes down, it takes it out, then you make a profit anyway. Something like that. If you're undecided as to should I hold it or should I sell it, just move your stop loss up in there. Trailing stop, just let it trail behind the profit. When it comes back and takes it out, you're happy anyway. You got out of the trade. Because one of the worst feelings you can have in the market is if you sell it here and you get out, you think, oh, I'm out of that trade, I'm comfortable. And the next thing you look, it's up there. That's actually more upsetting than if you actually lose, strangely enough. If you actually lost in the market, you'd be like, oh, I lost. But if you got out of the trade too early, then that's gonna be even more upsetting. What I would suggest to you, Nihart, just what I would do and what I always do is I have a plan before I take the trade, and then I follow that plan. That's the easiest way, because then you're not questioning yourself while you're in the trade. You have a plan for the trade. Just run with that plan. For example, I have a trade in the US 500, and my plan is that it reaches that take profit and it stop losses down here. That's my plan. Should I get out now while I'm in profit? I mean, I am in profit. I'm pretty sure in the S&P 500, US 500, I'm in profit, okay? So I could close out now and take profit, but I have a plan, and my plan is for it to reach that level. So I should really stick to my plan. I might change the plan because the best laid plans of mice and men, I might decide somewhere down the line, oh, I've got to change the plan because the picture starts to change, or the fundamentals start to change, or something starts to affect the markets. But while I've got a plan in place, at least when I took the trade, then it doesn't affect my mentality or my psychology while I'm trading. In other words, the plan's already in place, and I don't have to ask myself, should I sell it or should I keep it? Because the plan is that. And when I took the plan, there was a reason I planned it that way. There was a reason I put my stop loss there. There was a reason I put my take profit there. Brent crude oil, I've got a plan. What's my plan? My plan is that it needs to reach a certain level. There's my stop loss. I've opened it wide because I want Brent crude to do well. Euro Great British Pound, I have a plan. I took it short because it looked like it's going to go down to these levels. The plan's in place. Should I get out now? I could get out now, decent profit. But the basis of our trading strategy is to make more on your wins and lose less on your losses. So we want to leave it and let the plan play out if we can. They don't always play out, but we would like to leave it, let it play out. So that's just a bit of insight, as to how that could help you, maybe, as to what you should do. Okay, you do have to decide for yourself whether you're going to buy or sell, but try and have a plan before you trade so that you understand where you want to get in and out of the trades. Don't leave that to chance. Don't leave that to, I've taken a trade, let's see what happens. Because that means you're basically relying on the system to make your money when actually you want the strategy to make your money. And this is where we go back to that 50-50 again. Every single trade that you take, doesn't matter which trade you take, every single trade that you take is a 50-50 trade. And you go like, what? Absolutely. There's no way around that. Every single trade that you take is a 50-50 trade here. Lovely trade, Shane. You got a good trade going. You know why I'm not in the DAX at the moment? Because I'm in the S&P 500, and there's just effectively what I've found over the years is there's no real point in having a long trade on S&P 500, a long trade on the DAX, and a long trade on the Dow, and they're just all the same. So I just, the DAX is great though, it's doing well. Well done, that's a good trade. But I try not to have a whole range of trades in the same sort of thing, because all it's going to do to me is, if it goes wrong, it's going to go wrong kind of insanely. So I try and separate them out. But that said, I mean, you can't get away from that. For example, some trades just run in confluence with each other and there's nothing you can do about it. Like gold and oil and US 500 and all that. There's nothing you can do about it. Rob, thank you. On the part of the mindset process, you explain how to cross those mindset hurdles. But my problem is that I look to trade every day and try to make money every day. Yes, I've closed 50%. Rest is running and brought my stop loss to break even. Well, there you go, Nihar. You see, your plan is playing out. And that's important. You've closed half your trade. Maybe that you had in the back of your mind from the start that you might close half your trade out. And that's something you can do. You can either add to a trade when it's winning or close half out, whichever you feel more comfortable with. And it makes you feel more comfortable as well. I've done that a million times where I'm not sure if it's going to carry on winning and I want to keep some profit. So I'll close half my trade out. I've done that a million times. It's fantastic. Sometimes you just got to do it, because then you feel good in your heart. You walk away and you think to yourself, well, at least if it wins, I'm still making some money. So yeah, no, I get that. And you bring your stop loss to break even, so now you can't lose anything. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. One thing that is going to affect your trading, though, is trying to make money every day. That is one of the most difficult things, is if you are forced to try and make money every day or by a certain time period. Time periods are going to be negative against your trading, because your psychology is such that, and I'm not a psychologist, guys, I'm really not, but all I'm saying to you guys, my daughter is actually, but all I'm saying to you guys is this. The psychology is that you need to make money within that time. And if you don't, it becomes an issue of, how am I going to make up for that? And then your mind starts to try and correct for that. And it starts to try and maybe play a bit harder, play a bit more the next day or next hour, whatever the case. It tries to force a trade, or you find yourself, for example, because you need to make money every single day, trying to force trades because you need a trade no matter what. That said, Neil, there is a trade every day. There's always a trade. There's very seldom that you'll see my trading list where it says no trade today. I mean, I have done it, but generally there's always something that you can trade, that you'll find something. But that said, you have to be careful of putting time limits on yourself to make a profit. So I found myself doing that many years ago, whether it be daily, weekly, monthly, whatever the case. Even monthly, it's difficult. You have good months and bad months. You have good weeks, bad weeks. You have good days, bad days. So what I did is I actually took my portfolio, and this is just me. I took my portfolio and said, I need to make that over a year. So if I can cover that over a year, then I'm okay. And I know I'm going to have bad parts and good parts of the year, but hopefully more good parts than bad parts. And if I break even over a year, I've got to make sure I'm covered for the next 5 years effectively. Now, that said, it's easy for me to say that because I've got maybe my investments and other things going on, and my investments are covering me for 30 years, whatever the case. The trading doesn't need to support me, but it might need to support you. And that's where the difficulty comes in. I know the feeling. I know the feeling well. I remember it well. Where you desperate to try and make that profit as quick and as soon as possible, but it will affect your psychology and it will hurt you. It's the same as 5-minute trading, day trading, that sort of thing. So So many guys say, I only go in for an hour or I sit down for an hour or two at open of the European market or the US market and I trade and I make a couple of $100 or whatever and then I walk away. Imagine making this every single day. So easy. And you know what happens to you is you go and you sit down on that 5-minute chart and instead of making $200, you lose $200 on the first trade. Now you're already on the back foot. Your psychology is already on the back foot because you've got to make up for that $200 that you've lost on that. So now are you only going to trade for the 1 hour or 2 hours a day that you said you were going to do? Are you going to be prepared to take the loss? Probably not. So you take another trade to try and get that $200 back. And then you end up, even though you've got a plan to lose $200 a trade and a stop loss, now you're $400 in the red because you lost again. Take the third one. It happens again. Now you're on a serious back foot. Now you're $600 down and you haven't started yet. And you're 3-4 hours into the day watching charts when you said you were only going to sit down for the open in 2 hours. Are you prepared to shut down and walk away now and lose that $600? And if you are, that's great. But just remember, tomorrow morning when you come in, you're still on the back foot. You're still that $600 down. You're still going to make that back before you're going to profit for the next day and make a profit. This is the difficulty with short-term trading, with trying to make profits in the short term, is when you're on the back foot, you make more mistakes. You will always make more mistakes. And I don't know what better way to put it for you. Without looking bad, I'm trying to say it to you in the nicest possible way that it is a very, 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 very difficult thing to get around to do. I gotta tell you, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. Is to be able to psychologically get around those. And when you watch the YouTube videos like mine and others and many others, and we're all out here, at least mine will show you the losses. But a lot of guys out there will only show you the wins. And they'll be promoting how easy it is to trade and how you can make this money every day. They don't show you the pain. They don't show you the hardship, the difficulty behind it. And even if you're watching a guy who's genuinely making that money, that hack has got so much experience doing it, and he can do it. But you can't emulate that person. You cannot be that person. So you're going to go out there, try and do the same thing, and end up with the pain and the hardship. All I say is be very careful of that. It is soul destroying to be in those positions, trying to make that money, and then it goes against you and it hurts you. It's not funny, guys. It's actually really, really difficult. Oh yes, we need to have the draw. I used to surf and try to remind myself not every day that we are yeah, this is true. This is true. If you're a surfer, I mean, I live by the sea. If you're a surfer, especially now with windsurfing, even more so, is there wind every day? I used to laugh because everyone was. The area I live in is the windiest, almost like one of the windiest parts, seemingly. Okay, all the windsurfers are out there windsurfing. I'm a bit too old to do that now. I don't think I got the stomach muscles for it anymore. But anyway, they're all windsurfing, and this is the area to windsurf, and it's like, do you know what? There's so much wind. It's always windy down there where okay. And I worked out that it's really only windy here about 20-25% of the year. So in other words, it's not windy every day. You can't windsurf every day. And when wind comes up, they all go rushing down to the beach, flying down there in their droves. They're almost tripping over each other on the waves because there's wind. So, and this is the windiest city in South Africa, by the way. Just saying. And if you want wind, this is the place to come to. And I just use that as an example, same as what Shane said with the waves. It's exactly the same thing. You know, you kind of like, you either got waves or you don't. But there's not big waves in Cape Town, but there is a lot of wind. And so for windsurfers, it's brilliant. But like I say, it's not windy every day. And when it is, there's 4 million windsurfers out there on the beach. So yeah, just shows you, doesn't it? That's the same as trading. You know, if something suddenly happens, then everybody jumps in and everybody's in the trade, eh? So yeah, the Brewman's laughing at me, lol, Cape Town, yeah. Yeah. People are scared to come and live here because of the wind. I love it. I don't if it's too windy or too stormy or whatever, then I'll sit inside and trade, or I'll watch some football, or I'll do something inside. I'll have a braai. Got an indoor braai, it's fine. Braai's a barbecue, by the way. And then when it's not windy and it's a beautiful day, which is most of the time, then I'll go out and enjoy myself. So no problem. People worry too much. Okay, so the draw. Oh, should we have the draw, guys? Should we see who wins the account this week? Let's go and have a bit of fun. Let's go and see who wins the account this week. Okay, I just got to go over here, and then I've just got to put us over to the... I'm going to have to put us over to the news. Okay, that's fine, because that's where I'm going to find it, down here. Okay, so we're going to use this random comment picker, and we're going to pick a comment off of the one thing traders need to grasp to succeed. Let me see. How's all the... Just going to press stop on this because otherwise I'm going to be talking on it and you guys are going to be hearing my voice all over the place. But anyway, no, you wouldn't hear it because I haven't got the desktop on. Let's see all the... There is some people on there. I'm going to take this video and I'm going to place it in the random comment picker. And I'm going to paste it in there. And somebody is going to win a 2-step 10K challenge account sponsored by Funger FX. Funger FX is these guys. They're quite lekker. Like I say, they got instant accounts as well. If you want one of those, there are links in the description for you to get. And yeah, okay, let's check. Shall we do this? Are you guys ready to do this and grab this? It's a bit of fun. All I say about these funded accounts, guys, is at the end of the day, it helps the guys that maybe don't have the cash to get into the market, and it gives you some experience as well. It gives you a lot of experience, and it's just that one step up from maybe a demo, because a demo's got no responsibility on it. You can just go willy-nilly with it. This, you've got some responsibility with it, because you've got a target to work towards. If you win, you can get something back from it, and obviously if you paid for it, even more so. But if you get this free one, it's still something to work towards. So let's do it. Let's have the draw, and let's see who wins it, and we'll take it from there. Just remember, guys, as per the rules, if it's a bot, it's not getting it, and if it's a cynical, nasty comment, you're not getting it either. Right, there we go. Fetch. First thing we do, anything goes. Let's do it. Let's see who won this. Pick a winner. Chepo, you won it, dude. I'm pretty sure it's you. Nkosi Clan Nkosi. You won it. It's yours. Congratulations. I hope you're still here. Well done, son. Well done. Well done. Fantastic stuff. Okay, I just need to go over here. I need to send you the information that you're going to need to send me. And oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Well done. I mean, you've been saying you really want this account, so now you got it. There we go. Give you what you need to send me. Go. Copy. Okay. And then I'm going to just go over here. And I know you've been manifesting this, Jamal. You've been manifesting this. There, I've just sent you what you need to do. You need to send me your details to there, okay? And congratulations, man. There you go. Lekker. I know you've been saying you want this so badly, so you got it. Okay, now you can go and you can have some fun. And there you go. You actually won it fair and square. And you all you had to do was leave a comment. Easy, eh? No big deal at all. Really easy. I'm just going to go back to the charts here. They're still there. There we go. Really happy for you. I hope you enjoy it. So what will happen now, you send me those details, and then I'm going to send them to Corey, and he'll get hold of you from Fundra FX, and he'll sort you out with your account. You should have it in the next day or two, and you can enjoy it and have some fun. Okay, there you go. Lekker stuff, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. See, all you got to do is come on my live show. Yeah, well. It's not like we've got loads of people watching this show because they're all watching those guys that are doing the 5-minute trading and the 1-minute trading and making millions and driving Lamborghinis and stuff. My live show is not that interesting as them, but it's still cool, still fun. We're still a small, nice, nitty-gritty crowd. We stick together. We're a bunch, and I like it. I enjoy it. Way to go. Sometimes we have more people than others, but I think Tuesdays are doing better than Thursdays. I might move the times and only do the Tuesday times on Thursday. I don't know. We'll see. I might move the Thursday one a bit forward. We'll see. Because I see a lot of guys are not here on the Thursday. Thanks, Bruin. I'm glad to hear that you like watching me. That's good. At least that's enjoyable. At least someone likes watching me, eh? No, that's great. No, I just say I think the guys out there, my Euro Great British Pound is going down the toilet here. That was $175 up just now. You see now it's 74. And that's what I was saying to Nihal earlier on. Just stick to your plan and just leave it. Let's see what happens. I'll put that stop loss at cost, which is it's not great, but it's definitely running in that direction, isn't it? So it looks like a good strong possibility we're going to lose out on that one. But we'll see. Yep, trading is a journey. It's a long journey for me. I should be getting off the bus by now, man. Gee whiz. What you'll find, guys, is you always end up going back to trading. Never goes away. You always end up going back to it. You always end up getting stuck on it. It's always part of you. It's not something you walk away from. Where is? Oh, there it is. The US 500 still got such small candles. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So it looks like the Euro Great British Pound's not going to work out for me. Looks like they're going to nail me. This is what happens when you're watching trades, eh? But yeah, it's definitely not going in my favor here, is it? Well, that's a pity, because it was going so well. And I was actually quite chuffed with it. And it was like really going well. And now it's dropped all the way down. And it looks like I'm going to break even. That is just so sad. Hate it when it does that. Hate it when it does that. Oh, maybe it'll go back in my favor again. Stop loss is at $8.73. After being $175 up, you make $8.73. That's probably more painful than taking a loss. I know that. Really sad. That's a sad trade, that. I guess that's where scalpers do a little bit better than us. You know, they just like in and out, in and out. Ooh, your DAX is taking a bit of a knock there, Shane. The DAX is showing a nasty red candle there. I guess that's why my Euro Great British Pound is showing a nasty green candle. Obviously some news. Okay. We'll see what happens with that. See if it comes back into play. Finds its feet again. That does suck. It sucks every time. I hate it. Yeah. You know, it never changes. In all the years I've been trading, I don't know how long you've been trading, Bruman, but I'll tell you what, in all the years I've been trading, it still sucks. You know, it you get that sort of, there's a nice trade going, and then it does that to you. It's like more painful than if you actually took a loss. I gotta say. Crazy. And maybe it'll still go in my favor, you know, maybe it'll all settle down and go back. But looking at Shane's trade here as well, it's also going insanely bad now suddenly. Yeah, Warren Buffett isn't so much a trader as an investor. So that's why I like my investments. And actually, he was an inspiration to my investments. What made me getting to just buy and hold and forget about it. I learned that from his speeches and stories and whatnot. He's actually someone that I listen to intently on that side. And yeah, that's why I have the investment accounts, is because of someone like that. Eight years is a long time, dude. I couldn't see any news, but you never know. Always good to get a better price. I hate it when you have weeks like that. Yeah, totally. It's pretty annoying. You know, that was going so well. Well, it's still in. I mean, it's not gone. But yeah, that's just on this account. I hate to see what's happening on the other accounts, because sometimes I've doubled up on it. But yeah, it was going so well, man. I could get out of it now and take the $50 and walk away, but that just defeats the object, you know. So annoying. I don't know what news did that, or what actually made that happen. I didn't see anything. Is there any news over here? Let's have a look here. Boom, 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 boom. There's nothing. Trade statistics. Calendar, market hours, calendar. Oh, ECB press conference. Yeah, you see. They're busy having a press conference, so they're probably talking rubbish again. You see, that's what the problem is. They're busy talking rubbish. Tell you what, maybe, just maybe, I should save this trade. And, you know, with my stop loss being at cost, you know, I don't know, should I let it take it out, or should I put it back where it should be? The ECB is busy talking, and they're causing this. They're causing this hassle. There's a good chance it's going to get taken out. There's a good chance it could run the other way with them talking like that as well. Just thinking now, should I leave that stop loss there? I moved it, so yeah, let's leave it. There was a trade where I made over 100,000 on one trade. I think call it a trade. It was a share. that went from, I don't know, something like $6 to $90. I can't remember what I paid for it. It was one of those, I don't know, slam dunks, hit of luck, 1 in a million, you know. Yeah, that was a long time ago, but it was good. And then just last year, I did well on the volatility index, R50. That was a good one. But yeah, those are the nice ones. Those are the ones you walk away from and go, ooh, that was nice. But they don't happen often. I wonder what the ECB said, because wow, they really moved things around here, man. Gee whiz, that's quite a lot of moving around, all things said. Oh well, my trade's about to get taken out. I'm just going to leave it. Fine. I like the 75. Yeah. Let me just see. I was actually... is Bitcoin moving again? Bitcoin was dropping back down to its 100,000 level, and I wonder if I've still got that trade or if I've taken it out. Oh, it's still there. Can you believe it? I thought it got taken out, because I mean, I see that point there. It's like pretty close. Bitcoin was heading on back down to its 100,000 level again. That's shooting back up again. Should have bought in when it was down at 70,000 again, but I don't know why I didn't. That would have been a nice trade as well. That would have been some serious dosh. Okay. It's definitely going to get taken out now. Amazing. Absolutely amazing, that. Sad. Are you short? Yeah, I was expecting it to go short, actually. Bitcoin, I was expecting it to come down to, like I say, 100,000 or what. But obviously... all the way down to $20, eh? Oh, look at that. There she goes. Break even. Bye-bye, trade. It was nice having you. It's going to get taken out any second now. Yeah. He's still trading Fotcoin. That's a good one. Yeah, sure. Unbelievable. So I think what I'll do with this Euro Great British Pound, guys, and this is a good example of some terrible luck, is I'll let it play out. Well, it's still in there. I thought it had got taken out already, but it'll probably get taken out. And if it gets taken out, what I'll do is I'll just wait for the next red candle to come out of this level again, and then we'll just take another short if it goes that way. And then if the news does push it all the way through, then so be it. You know, we have to deal with it. But I don't know. It's kind of strange, the whole thing. What happened here? Look at that now. Now it's starting to find its way back down again. I don't know. But like I say, if it gets taken out, what I'll do is I'll wait for the next red candle coming down, and then I'll just get another short again. That's the only way to play it. It's $34 now. Yeah. I love that. I can't believe I've actually invented something called Forex. How many of you guys here believe that crypto is a good investment? I don't mean trade, I mean investment. We all trade it. Talking about, would you leave your hard-earned money in it right now if this was your first investment? I'm not talking about you got into it when it was $20 or whatever the case. I'm talking about, would you, for the first time now, invest your money at $100,000? Would you invest it now? Would you put that money into crypto and leave it there with the view to the fact that it's going to make you a profit sometime in the future? I mean, that's just a question from my side. Do you think that it's going to offer you a long-term investment? There's there's a lot of question marks around it, so I just asked that question. How many people feel very confident with it and whatnot. Look, obviously, the guys who got in when it was 20,000 and whatnot, that's a big win. But yeah, are you confident getting in at 100,000 and holding it with a view to it maybe getting to 200,000? I don't know. Maybe it will. Okay, my stop loss just got filled on the Euro Great British Pound. And that's it. Oh well. That's more painful than losing money, to be honest with you. Okay. You kept telling her to sell, but she's held. She did the right thing holding. She's held that Bitcoin forever. I know some people have made some serious money on Bitcoin just by holding it. And that's the point that Warren Buffett makes every single time, even though he hates crypto, is if you're going to invest in something, stand by it, invest in it. That's what I do with my shares. I just invest in them and stand by it and leave it. So now your point of view has got to be, like Shane says, you're heading for 200K or at least 150. If you're invested in it, that's if you want to invest in it. So, yep, that's it. Okay, so the only choice on the Euro Great British Pound at the moment is to wait for a red candle and see what happens. Obviously, whatever the ECB is saying is causing this to go kind of insane. It really is going insane in the other direction. So we've lost nothing. We've actually made $8, so we could have made a lot more though. I'm just gonna quickly go over here and gonna do something that probably won't see this. Okay, I'm just putting this in here. You guys can see it. It's coming up. Probably spelled that wrong. It's okay. Cool. Then over here. I don't have the winner's certificate yet. So only Corey can give me that. But what I can do is I can put this up for you guys to see. There's your winner for this week. Oops, what am I doing? That. There's your winner for this week. Fantastic. Okay, there we go. That was pretty cool. Quite enjoyable. Particularly as he kept on saying, I want to win that. So there you go. That's fantastic. Always good news. Don't forget to email me all the details, Shepo. It's important. All right. BTI reaches 52-week high. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. I wonder what's moving Bitcoin. Although I do see Gold is not really doing much itself. The S&P 500 has kind of locked itself into a little spot. Brent crude oil is going up, which is great news. BTC to 1 million by 2030. And Shane says, remember to do whatever, the opposite to whatever he says. But I do like your thoughts on the BTC going to 1 million. You know, my opinion of crypto is a strange one, because my opinion's always been that it's fresh air and that it's based on no asset value or anything to that effect. And it's a market created between people, between traders, between human beings. But the point of it being where it is at the moment is it's too big to fail. So no one's going to let it fall apart right now. That said, it has happened before. Lehman Brothers, case in point. Bernie Madoff, another case in point. It could all go pear-shaped, but yeah, it is so big, and there's so many big, major things involved in it that at the moment you couldn't really say it's going to go anywhere. So it has now starting to become a reasonably good investment, because now it's become something that is owned by something. It's kind of, listen to me carefully here when I say this. When you guys got involved at 2000, and it was, you know, at that point I would have said, I'm not touching that. It's fresh air. It's total fresh air. And I still feel like it's not based on anything. That's a big bubble. It's fresh air. But like I say, so many big things or people have got involved in it now. Their money's in it. So there's a kind of a something holding it up. There's kind of a value holding it up, making it worth something. And so what Bruman says here with it going to 1 million, I might not say 1 million, maybe 200,000 or 300,000, but yeah, I get you. I get you. I actually, I don't say that's impossible. It's a possibility. I look, I invest my money in shares mostly, and I leave it there and I wait for it to grow. I'm happy with that. It's conservative. It works well. And if you work it out over 30 years, if you've seen some of my previous videos where I've showed you how much it can amount to, you'll understand why. And but crypto sort of 10x's that if it does what it's been doing. And that's why so many crypto millionaires out there, because that crypto kind of 10x's that investment. But it's higher risk. It's always been higher risk because there is no asset value, and it is kind of based on nothing. But it's there, and it's tradable. I love the fact that it's tradable. And the only one, just like Bruman, that I would go for would be Bitcoin. I wouldn't go for any of the others, Fartcoin and all that. No, these are all coming out of the blue, to be honest. But I do like the idea that Bitcoin is probably the only one that's going to survive over time, and it has survived the test of time. And I think it is going to be somehow controlled and looked after by the governments and powers that be and whatnot. And yeah, yeah, that's the only one that makes sense. Yeah, Shane, like you say, what's happening with the DAX is like what happened with the Euro Great British Pound here. It's this meeting in Europe, the ECB meeting, that's causing all this headache. Yeah, that's why you've got this run. And now I see the US 500 is planning to sort of do the same thing somehow. I don't know why that is. Yeah, Ruben, there's one problem. You know, when you say the governments want to take your cash, you know, BTC they can't touch. they're already starting to put regulation in place surrounding crypto. I don't know if you noticed that, especially here in South Africa. They're starting to put regulation in place. So now, if you move Bitcoin or crypto around through the banks or through different systems, you have to fill in the same tax detail information, all that, about the movement of it as you do with cash. So they're starting to track it. They're starting to track it. And yeah, I think that's going to get worse. I think that's going to get worse. I think they're going to take control of Bitcoin one way or another, the same way they have control of the cash. So while it's been a good run, I suspect that they're finding a way to get their hands on your Bitcoin. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. You can hide it, but yeah, I suspect they're finding a way. They're looking for ways. They're already digging around. So I'm just a little bit annoyed by it, yeah, and also concerned by it, because I do see already, with them starting their rubbish about it. You want to move it around. They like, you got to suddenly start filling forms and documents in, and that sort of stuff that you would normally only do if you put a large sum of money overseas or whatever the case. They're starting to like put that into crypto and declarations and all this kind of stuff. So I can see where they're going with it. I can see what they're trying to do with it, and they're trying to regulate it. And it starts with, like the exchange traded funds that are available on it already, that Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and BlackRock and all them, they all put these exchange traded funds out on Bitcoin, and suddenly that starts getting regulated, and there's big money flowing around. Yeah, at the moment it's just through the banks. It's but sooner or later they're already looking at ways to try and find their way into the pie, and they most probably will. They always do. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, but they're gonna. You see, the thing is, only if you give them your wallet address, and all it takes is for them to suddenly drop a law where the wallets have to provide the addresses to the government, and you're buggered. It's insane, but I can see they're heading down that road. I can see it. I can already see them. They're heading down that road, and it concerns me. It really does. But there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing we can do about it. I mean, all they have to do is pass a law. Any wallet, blah 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 blah, has to supply the wallet addresses, etc. Next thing you know, you're looking at them like, well, what now? Suddenly they're taxing your Bitcoin. Yeah. He's back on BTC is just a collectible similar to a painting, but real collectibles are rare. BTC is not rare. They're trying to make BTC rare in the sense that it's limited. But I struggle with the concept of limited, because it's limited fresh air, because it's not based on any asset value. So what do you actually own? You can't actually hold a coin. If I buy gold, I can actually buy real gold. I can actually buy a piece of gold and put it in my pub and show it off. It's kind of, like oil. I can buy oil. I can buy a real barrel of oil if I wanted to, and show it off in my driveway. But Bitcoin, I can't really show it to anyone. It's basically in a ledger. So yeah, it's a difficult one. So collectible, yeah, what are you actually collecting? And yeah, but they are trying to make it a collectible because it's limited. Yeah, they're trying to limit it. Uh, yeah. Yeah. With Bitcoin, if you store your wealth, as long as you're confident that it's going to be around forever, then yeah, I'm just not confident that it's going to be around forever. Whether it be its own implosion because it's not based on anything, or whether it be from government intervention, somewhere down the line, there could be a problem with it. But if you're convinced that it's going to be around forever, then yeah, it's then you can store your wealth. You see, with mine, it's store your wealth in the investments. In other words, companies like Amazon, Nvidia, so on. Coca-Cola, McDonald's, all these wonderful companies in South Africa. Spa, whatever, and uh, Anheuser Busch, which was SA Breweries, that sort of thing. These are companies that I invest in and store my money there, and I leave it there. But I kind of know they're going to be around in the future. And if I get an inclination that they might not be around in the future, then I'll sell up that part of my portfolio and move it into another product, another company, whatever the case. So, look, I was never invested in Pick and Pay in South Africa, but if I had been, I would have looked at it as a failing company right now. And I would have said, you know what, I need to sell that part of my portfolio and maybe buy Checkers, and because that's a stronger company and it's got more strength to it. Just looking at that sort of scenario. Whereas with crypto, I'm kind of trapped in with crypto. So if crypto starts to go wrong, I'm kind of going wrong with it. It's just a few negatives, downsides to it for me. Whereas I feel more comfortable with the shares because they've got longer term uh, conservative. Looking at it conservatively, they seem to have more a safer way in and out, so to speak. Um, the BTC is obviously a big ETF because it's a big it's a big thing. At the end of the day, it's a currency that's being created for people outside of the government. But yeah, interesting, interesting. You see, like all normal currencies are pegged against the countries they're from, the reserves, the asset value of the country, and so on. And Bitcoin is not pegged against anything other than each other itself. It does raise a lot of concerns, a lot of red flags when you've seen a lot of Ponzi schemes in your life. But okay, it's got its place, and I hope it stays around because it's useful, and its place is useful. I'm a bit concerned about products being called Fartcoin, but okay. Oh no. No, Bruman, it's great. I'm actually love the topic of discussion. It's everything should be a topic of discussion. I'm a big fan of if 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 you are right, then by definition I must be wrong, and so on. It's great because without discussion, you never really get to the bottom of anything. If everybody just believes they're right, so there's got to be discussion around everything, and that's why markets go up and down. That's why I love the markets in the first place, is because the whole reason they go up and down is because one person believes it's going to go up and the other person believes it's going to go down. You can only go two ways. Um, It's yeah. Now the problem with money, you see, Roman, for example, a good example of the monetary system is back in the day, they had what was called the gold standard. And the gold standard meant that, for example, the dollar was pegged to the gold reserves in the country. And they unpegged it, I think, in the 70s. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Might have been the 80s, but I think it was the 70s. They unpegged it. They actually unpegged it. So in other words, it's now a floating currency. In other words, it doesn't matter if they got gold or not. So it used to be valued against the gold they held in the country. Now it's like unpegged. So now it's just an IOU. It's just a piece of paper. That said, though, all currencies around the world are still pegged against the value of the country in one way or another, asset value, money moving back and forth, and that sort of thing. It's got really doesn't have a lot to do with the economy, more to do with the reserve value. But yeah, for example, America unpegged their gold standard, so that does make things complicated, a little bit complicated. But if you take a country and its value and its what it can do and what it can't do, then you kind of get a value for that country's currency against the overall picture, so on, so on, so on. It doesn't really work out so well though, because if you take, for example, the South African rand, I don't know if you know of the McDonald's standard, how much a McDonald's Big Mac costs everywhere in the world, for example. And in America, it costs $9.90, and in South Africa, it costs 99 Rand. In other words, the South African rand should be 10 to 1 on the dollar, because that's the standard around the world. If you're paying that for a burger here, then surely, and you're paying that for a burger there, surely that should match up. But it doesn't. Our rand is 18 to 1. So where did the other 8 come from? Things like that do leave a lot of open questions. But when it comes down to the actual monetary value, it should be and is normally based on the reserve value of the country. Bitcoin is kind of not based on any standard. Gold backed is a good system, but it's not anymore. Nothing's gold backed anymore. The gold standard has been removed. That's actually what brings the monetary system into question around the world. But like I say, at the end of the day, it is still backed by a country's value. And if you look at the entire value of, say, America, it's got to have some value. So that's where the US dollar is pegged at the end of the day. But yeah, they used to have a gold standard that was taken away. So now you peg, for example, Bitcoin against the dollar. So it's got a dollar value. We value Bitcoin in dollar value. In other words, if US dollar is nothing, then Bitcoin is also nothing, and it gets complicated. But yeah, there's a value to everything. Nixon, that's it, Shane. Nixon, that was the time. Basically, the US defaulted in the 19s. It was the 1970s, right? So I'm right, the 1970s, yeah. Chart BTC to do anything, any currency. It's been 17 years. It shows it works. Ads again. Haha, Shane got you with the ads. But have you noticed the ads are now side by side? Haha. But you still can't hear me, eh? Something like that. I know but they did tell us we're putting the ads side by side now, so I'm happy about that. BTC yesterday on the monthly. Yes, and I agree. 17 years is very short in finance. And Enron, I just want to give you guys an example. Enron was around for more than 20 years, or at least 20 years. Enron, Bernie Madoff. Do you remember him? The fake company. The guy who worked in the New York Stock Exchange. He was a high figure there. He was a respected person, Bernie Madoff. People trusted him. More than 20 years this company ran, and it was totally fake, completely fake. You know that it's a difficult thing, to get around. Now, I'm not saying that Bitcoin is like that or it is that. All I'm saying is I'm very cautious of products that are built on fresh air. Very cautious of it. But yeah, it's there. That's more than $1 trillion, Brimman. It's. Whew. I don't know if there's bigger numbers. If you guys know of the bigger numbers, but there's bigger numbers in BTC. One person could have $1 trillion in BTC. Let me tell you, it's insanely huge. Yeah. And exactly what Brimman says. That's exactly what I said earlier. If BTC falls, it's too big to fail. If BTC falls, the world is in serious trouble because so many big companies and so much big money has got involved in it. And so if it falls, the world will collapse. This will be the biggest crash since 1927. So let me tell you, if you this is a crash you do not want to be involved in. If Bitcoin crashes, it's just insane. If Bitcoin is found out tomorrow to be a big Ponzi scheme and it doesn't exist, it's over. There's nothing that can save it. There's no quantitative easing or anything like that can save it. The world is doomed. That's how much money is involved in Bitcoin. So it's become a situation. That's what I was saying earlier. Now, of when it was $2,000, everybody was like, it's fresh air. Don't worry about it. But now you're at a point of there's so much money invested in it that it's holding some value, and it's holding value against a dollar. So now the dollar's holding Bitcoin. You can't fail it now. It's got that value. It's holding that value. Yeah, you'll remember gold was in a bear market for a long time, and in South Africa we used to have a guy. I never forgot this. Like, his name was Clive Roffey, and he always used to say, "Gold's gonna do well. Gold's gonna do well. Gold's do well." And this gold sat in the bear market for 20 years, and it just sat there, and it just didn't go anywhere. I felt sorry for this guy because he kept on calling gold. His whole life was based around buying gold, and it just did nothing. But yeah, for me, I've always known that the commodity is a cyclical product. It goes up and it goes down. It's not something you want to invest in. If you want to invest, you invest in shares or companies or indexes or something like that. So yeah, unfortunate, but then I just played with gold, and it was always gold, 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 and it just never went anywhere because, as you say, it sat in a bear market for how long? And only now recently did it actually start doing something interesting. I actually thought about him just when last year when this started moving. Thought, oh, finally, your gold is actually moving. Finally, it's doing something, but it's done nothing for so long. That's, Bruno says 60% of the supply has not moved since 2013. That's if the supply is still there. This is wannabe. Yeah, no. Could be interesting. Always interesting. I do not. I hold my wealth in shares, not gold. Gold is, for me, it's a cyclical product that will go up and down. For me, I'd rather have it in companies, and that's where it stays. I get dividends, and the wealth grows. It grows with the companies, it grows with inflation, and then of course property as well. Property is also an interesting place to keep it, but not in gold. A lot of my friends always run off and buy gold, and I'm always wondering where you're going to keep it, what you're going to do with it, and it's just all commodities are cyclical. They don't grow with inflation. They just don't grow. BDC does not have to go down in value. Just needs to not move for a long time, and the demand will go down, and hence most traders will lose interest. You see what's being said there, where people will lose interest in a product. That's the problem with Bitcoin or crypto in general, is it's not based on an asset value. So in other words, if the traders lose interest in it, then it loses value. So what you're actually saying 100% is that all the value in Bitcoin is based on the people that hold it, the traders or investors. Whereas if you're invested in a company like Woolworths or whoever, that company will grow and the people that are running it will make it bigger and grow the company, and it'll gain value based on certain other aspects besides the traders being involved in it. It's a different ballgame. So yeah, I do see that. I see that situation of with crypto is the traders are holding it up, and if the traders lose interest, then it falls down. You know, if there was some kind of scare on Bitcoin tomorrow, then all the traders would sell it out and go and buy into companies. Then it would start falling. It's a balloon that you could pop. And that's my concern for it. That there isn't a base solid holding value for it. Okay, so I've been here a long time ago, talking about strange things. So guys, I think I'm going to be on my way. Chepo, don't forget to send me that information so I can get you your stuff sorted out. And it's been another one of those fun days where we actually found something really interesting to talk about again, in all hindsight. We talked about crypto. I love crypto. Crypto is always good. But guys, I'm going to be on my way now. I'm going to head on my way. It is late in the day. And I hope you guys have a great trading week. And I'll see you next Tuesday for the next live show. Congratulations, Seppo, on the giveaway. And yeah, if you are trading crypto, I hope you make lots of money and it goes well. Trading shares, good luck with that too. Shares are one of the easier things to trade, guys. So that's always good. But on this show, we just do the indexes and the Forex and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's what we are. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Keep your feet on the ground and, of course, reach for the sky. I'll see you